Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about one of my new favorite books, Early Retirement Extreme. Now, if you haven't heard of this book, it's by a guy, Jacob, who was a physicist and software engineer, super into systems, and he created an entire framework and system around getting to early retirement as fast as possible. Now, what's interesting about this book compared to most finance books or personal finance books or early retirement books is that, like the title suggests, he took this super extreme approach to reaching early retirement. In this guy's case, he started thinking about early retirement when he was a grad student and already living a very little overhead, very little cost. And he started thinking to himself, what would it be like if I started running my entire personal life like a business and started using some of the principles from business capital allocation in my own personal life, taking my personal finances and really looking at where am I getting the highest utility value for them, and how can I up that and get more utility value from all my finances, and where's the best optimization in terms of spending money or the time that I'm going to put into working, and whether or not that time I'm putting into working is worth spending time doing something myself or paying for it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, a lot of people are going to not like this book because it ignores one of the concepts in personal finance that a lot of entrepreneurs like to subscribe to, which is the idea that if you have a certain rate of value that you assign to your own time, say you're somebody that makes, works 40 hours a week and you average $25 per hour for those hours you work, you're going to say to yourself, well, if anything that I'm doing isn't at least worth $25 an hour, it's not really worth my time. If it's something that only costs $10 an hour to pay somebody to do, it's not worth my time. And I completely understand that argument, but I think a lot of times that kind of argument is used to justify spending on things that are frivolous, optional, or just conveniences, really just spending for convenience, or because people don't want to use the mental energy needed to plan something in advance or really think about the best use of their own money, their own capital allocation. So what he does is he takes the complete opposite approach and says, how far can I take this if I really try to maximize each dollar that I spend, and how much can I get out of it if I really go extreme? And he more or less made a game out of this. But to make a long story short, basically he retired in 5 years right after he started saving while in grad school, and he eventually got his yearly expenses all the way down to $7,000 a year. And he understands and makes clear in the book that he does not suggest this approach for everyone, and he understands that it's not necessarily the most effective approach depending on what you're trying to optimize for. The whole point of the book, though, is that he details what he did and really, makes a catalog of all the different choices he made so that you can get an idea of what your options are. I think so often we default to spending on convenience or spending because we want to buy things that other people have, or we want to participate in activities that just seem like they're normal that everyone is doing. And the whole point of this book is he talks about that, you really have a choice with everything that you're spending your money on for the most part, besides things like basic food and shelter. The majority of things are really a choice that you're making, and you need to make that, it needs to become a conscious choice instead of just all of these unconscious choices that cause us to bleed money. And more important than just being cheap or living like a poor person is the idea that, the quicker that you can reinvest that money into some sort of appreciating asset, the quicker that you can retire and then live off the appreciation from those assets. That's really the main point that he's trying to get with giving this extreme example, is that, if you divert some of that cash flow from your work or whatever you're doing into appreciating assets, you'll be able to retire quicker. The other thing that I really like about this book is he has all these frameworks that he gives, and he puts detailed, examples and drawings and schematics for the frameworks to make these potentially complex ideas he's talking about very, very clear. Now, I know a lot of people who have reviewed this book have said that it's too theoretical and doesn't give enough how-to, but the whole point of this book is this idea that, he's going to teach you how to fish. He's not going to just give you that fish. He's going to teach you how to set up your own system in your life. So what he does is he really gets into all the theoretical frameworks that underlie the system he set up in his own life. Only towards the end of the book does he have one short chapter about the implementation of these ideas. He gives examples of exactly what he did and then some options for things that you can do, kind of giving you a sliding scale of how much you want to spend or where that optimization is for you in terms of spending money on convenience versus getting the most out of your money. Another thing I really like is his idea of the Renaissance man. So what he's talking about in this book with his idea of the Renaissance man is this idea that we can't be educated by a school system like a normal college or high school. We can't just go in like factory parts and then come out completely assembled with this education. He talks about how education needs to be not just the knowledge that you're learning and the skills skills you learn, but also how you develop your own character. And part of what he talks about in this book are some practices that require a little bit of delayed gratification, a little bit of focus and persistence, a little bit of voluntary hardship, all the things that don't really sound very appealing on a surface level, but actually make you far more independent, far more capable, far more competent, all the things that most of us want to be at the end of the day. So this is sort of like his whole manifesto on a completely different lifestyle. It sort of opens you up to a world of new possibilities in terms of both your own capabilities to learn and become self-sufficient and your own capabilities to divert some of your cash flow into appreciating assets. All great things for people that are interested in not working all the time or just being, better, more useful people. So I've never seen a book that really goes this far off the rails and just like takes this super extreme approach. Obviously not for anyone, but if you're someone that's early retirement enthusiast, someone that wants to retire early, someone that's getting into financial planning, really wants to manage their money better, this would be, I would say, the most valuable book you could read by far. No exceptions. This is the #1 book. If you can only read one on personal finance or retiring early, this is the one, because all these other books kind of give you watered down advice about practical ways that you can start to save more. This kind of gives you the limit. It's kind of like your boundary condition for how crazy you can go with diverting all your money into appreciating assets and things that'll help you to retire early. He really takes it to the extreme. It's mind expanding. It'll give you some new ideas for easy ways that you can save money in your own life and retire earlier. So I cannot recommend this book enough. Ignore the diluted 4-star reviews on Amazon. Don't worry about that. If you don't believe me, just go on YouTube and look at some of the other reviews for some early retirement enthusiasts that have went through this book. I guarantee they're gonna tell you the same things that I'm telling you now. So there it is, Early Retirement Extreme. Make sure you go and pick it up, take some detailed notes. You will definitely be thanking me. So if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments below. If there's something you'd like me to get more in depth on the review of this book, also let me know that. If you think I'm just full of shit and I don't know what I'm talking about with this book, please let me know that as well in the comments. Regardless of whether or not you like this video, I'd appreciate a like, just hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that I come out with a new video. And as always, thank you for watching.